And welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I'll be your host. Now, on today's episode, we're going to go hit up the Fashion Rodeo Drive with our new friend, Mr. Blakemore, on a shopping spree. We're going to go and head over to the Gold Tooth for Ladies' Night and try to get some drinks from some guys who don't got money, I guess. And then also, we're going to head over to Lily's to go not only get our hair done, but also try to get like a nice, like, fucking soul food platter or something. But anyway, regardless of all that, today we're going to be covering the one, the only Baps from 1997. Now, here's my thing, though. I couldn't do this all by myself because if you don't already know this, I myself am not a black person or a black girl. And very much this is a black film. So I wanted to bring in some perspective from people who just so happen to really love this movie and get their thoughts on it, feelings on it. So let me just say, this is a huge get for me because I love their podcast so much. And if y'all aren't already listening to it, y'all need to get on it. Okay. Their show called Girl That's Scary is pretty much a exploration of horror and sci-fi through the lens of the Black experience. But please welcome to the podcast, Jazz and Kat from Girl That's Scary. Hi guys, how are y'all doing today?
Hey, I'm alive, but we in here.
We in here. Okay, listen.
We doing good.
We also got to say too, I got to bring some DMV representation because you already know I'm Baltimore. Y'all are in Virginia, DC area, so we all know. Like, listen, it's a club up here. But anyway, but yeah, First off, would just like to say I love your podcast. I've been listening to it for like over a year now, and I kind of don't really miss an episode. Even if I haven't listened to the movie, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to listen to this shit, and we'll worry about it later, even if I haven't seen it. So, but the reason I brought you guys on today is because I was actually listening to one of your episodes a couple weeks back, maybe a few months back, and you did Blaxploitation, which was a great episode. You should check it out. But y'all talked about how in one of the movies you were talking about Rudy Ray Moore's in it. And Rudy Ray Moore, for those who don't know, is we'll get into it, but he's a Blaxploitation star, you know, and created his own movie and everything. And he's in this movie. And you said, he was in Baps. I love that movie from back in the day. And I was like, I wonder if they'll come on my show for this because I want to cover this movie, but I want to get another's perspective on it. And so that's why I brought y'all on. But I want to get, before I share any of my history with it, I want to get respectively what your histories with this movie is. Like, when did you see it? What did you think about it when it was, you know, when you were first seeing it? And, you know, just kind of get that. And we can then get on to kind of why did this movie not work at some point? So we can get all into that. But whichever you want to go first, I guess, to talk about that.
People play chicken with the microphone like, hey. Okay, I watched this movie as a young warthog. I did not see it like in theaters, but it was on a VHS. And I used to wear this VHS out. Let me tell you, I used to watch Baps like at least twice a month. I was just in there watching it along with Players Club, How to Be a Player. I had no business watching the movies because mind you, I'm like 8. I had it was naked people in some of the movies. I was not.
It was the 90s, man. It's fine.
We're here. But Baps is really special because I was like, first of all, I love Halle Berry and I love Catwoman. Hate me, I don't care. I'll watch it again. I don't care. It's Halle Berry and her cat suit was popping. Anyway, yes. I was here for anything that she was in, and it was just cool to see the girls like, oh, we doing this, and now we getting rich and famous. It's like one of those slapstick comedies, but specifically for me, you know, and not slapstick all the time, but you know, they're literally falling over a bidet. Like, come on, it's silly, but also it's a good time. I feel like there weren't a lot of those. Like the black comedies weren't like, this is like a PG-13 movie. A lot of them were like, again, How to Be a Player, like that. It was real. It was too much. And a lot of them were kind of misogynistic. So, you know, it was one I could get behind. How about you, Kat?
I too saw this as a kid. I cannot really recall if this was a rental or if it just happened to be on TV. I was, 90s kid, so you know what it's like when you in the house, TV just on. Whatever, dog. Who cares? Like, God got you. It's all good. It literally, that's it. But it was fun. Like, it was, like you said, the slapstick comedy really did what it came to do. The outfits were amazing. The hairstyles were amazing. Just looks on looks. I know we're not going to dive too much into it, like with adult eyes, because I haven't seen it in a really long time until we saw it for this. And I was just like, woo, like, Okay, so there are so many things I would change, but also like, we have icons in this movie, although the accents were really just like, wow, this was a choice. Everyone looked great, beautiful gowns, lots of gowns, beautiful gowns. And then the story, like you think it's going to go one way, but then it goes completely different. And it's honestly giving camp. Now, if you want to look back on it with adult eyes, it's very campy. It probably was campy then too. But I'm just here. I'm here for the looks. I really want to know where I can get everyone's outfit from. And I'm kind of just like, I have multiple feelings about things and I want to go to a hair show.
There you go. I mean, that's all you can ever ask for, man. It's art at some point. I mean, we'll talk about the costumes, but Ruth Carter, she got her Oscar. God damn it. Good for her. Because listen, put them all in the museum. It's so great. But anyway, yeah, so I guess my history with this movie, I literally knew probably nothing about it forever. I'm more of a Romy Michelle kind of kid that I grew up with that, which is also a great movie in its own right, of course. Funny enough, that movie came out literally a month after this did. And you can make the comparisons on, that it's similar, of course. Obviously, these are two Black women, the Romy Michelle's two white women. But anyway, yeah, I didn't really know about it. I guess maybe if I like Halle Berry and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, this is like one of her earlier movies. This is post Losing Isaiah, but also before X-Men and her winning an Oscar. So, all that. But I would honestly say, because I myself am a gay, I came into this movie or became conscious of it when season 13 of Drag Race happened. Because if you don't already know, Simone, who ended up winning that season, she and another queen, Utica Queen, did a reversal challenge where they won, actually. And the outfit that they ended up having Utica, who's a white queen, wear was the Halle Berry outfit, the orange and everything. Right. And so even they talked about I don't really know the source material. And is this in poor taste, especially since all of what had happened in 2020 with, a lot more of the protests for Black lives and all of that. That's a fair question. Like, is this in poor taste during this time, during COVID, during all of this stuff? And, they had that conversation with RuPaul and said, hey, you know what? If it's coming from a place of love, it's not going to be offensive or anything. And bitch, they won. So, because she also looked great in this outfit, it just didn't matter really, which was cool. And and Simone's also an icon, and I loved her as a person, a queen on that show. But anyway, that was I think a lot of people's first experiences with it, especially in the gay community, that weren't already privy to it. So that's why I was like, okay, Baps, I guess I need to watch that. Okay, let me go find that movie. It was on Tubi, and I watched it probably early last year or something like that, somewhere around there. And I personally fell in love with it. I was like, oh, this is camp. This is comedy. This is a fun movie. Which is why the whole reason of it having a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes is bullshit, horrid. And I'm just like, how can people think this is a really bad movie? Because you're telling me you haven't watched Scary of 61st. You're telling me you haven't watched The Hip Hop Witch. Okay. I'm just saying, this, and we talked about it on Fifth Element. Okay, so people think Fifth Element's a bad movie. All right, but you haven't seen The Hip Hop Witch? You haven't seen Veronica? Are you kidding?
Who are these people? Call them out.
I'm just saying, because literally, but what I'm saying, 15% on Rotten Tomatoes, I was like, this is some bullshit. Are you kidding me? Hell no.
No. But Rotten Tomatoes play in everybody's face every day because they
Seriously.
really will give a movie a single digit because they didn't get the joke. I'm like, well, look at who your Rotten Tomatoes score people are. I see them give all kinds of movies. I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes for what was it? Not His House. That was IMDb, where I was getting mad at people's reviews.
That's iconic, but yeah, right.
Yes, but I'm just like, they don't, sometimes they just don't get it. Tales from the Hood is not even a 6 out of 10 on there. And I'm like, now y'all, if you gave it a 50 something, y'all don't get it. Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand icons. Y'all don't know Goddess.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because I'm here to lift her up. Now, does she have problems? Yes. But
yeah, sure. But yeah, no, and totally. And we already know, I think it's Sheree from Nightmare on Fear Street. We already know her thoughts about the Mortuary Collection and how we want to call it out. Okay, listen. So yeah, that movie is mid, if anything. It's not and I love horror anthologies, but it's fine. I'm not mad at it, but Is it one of the better ones? No.
No.
I think Body Bags is better than it, honestly. I'm gonna lie.
Might be right.
I'm just saying. Anyway, but as we normally do on the show, we're going to go into a little bit of the figures of this movie, production history, what happened with this movie, some of our thoughts on it, and then we'll move into a bit of a plot summary just to kind of let the girls know. This movie was released March 28th, 1997, directed by Robert Townsend, Black director. Did a bunch of other stuff as well. Icon, wonderful. Written by Troy Byer, who also stars in this movie as well. And it's produced by Mark Berg and Jay Stern. Looking at an estimated budget of about $10 million, kind of apropos, you know. But then we have the box office, which pretty much worldwide was $7,338,279. So that's like the just worldwide in general, because needless to say, this is a box office flop, unfortunately. We're looking at a Rotten Tomatoes score of, as I said, 15% on the tomato meter for those reviewers, and then a 67% audience score. There you go. 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and then a 3.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. And so we have our cast of characters. We got Halle Berry as Denise Nisi. Martin Landau, he's Donald Blakemore, the rich guy. Ian Richardson is Mr. Manley. We love him. We got to mention Natalie Desselle's Reid as Tamika / Mickey. Love her. Troy Byer is Tracy Shaw, the lawyer. We got Pierre Edwards as Ali and AJ Johnson as James, the boyfriends of the respective girls. Mr. Johnson is played by Bernie Mac. May he rest in peace. Tiger J, I don't know who that is, but it's Faison Love, apparently. I'm sure he's like in LA somewhere. I don't fucking remember. Rudy Ray Moore, he's in the beginning, and we'll talk about him too. And then we have cameos from people like LL Cool J. I love that scene so much. Leon Robinson, Heavy D, and also Dennis Rodman at the end. I will say this. So let's talk about some of these reviews that we have. We got 3 of them. So we got Emmanuel Levy from Variety, who says, formulaic and distastefully fake, Townsend's modern fairy tale unsuccessfully tries to combine the premise of Pretty Woman with the formats of The Fish Out of Water and Cultural Collision. Roger Ebert. Okay. Jaw-droppingly bad, a movie so misconceived, I wonder why anyone involved wanted to make it. And then we have Frank Ocean Grek from .arts.movies.review, who states this film has no direction or redeeming qualities other than being offensive, aimless, and having its young black female leads all dressed up in silly garb with no place to go. Baps, beware of asinine picture that stinks. So that's fun. And you know what the gag is? You know what the gag is about that last reviewer? Is that actually is a black man, funny enough. So I'm just like, okay. I mean, you can not like it, but really? I think he was one of the only reviewers of color that literally reviewed this movie. I'm just like, okay. Some bullshit. Like,
okay. I just really want to fight all the people, to be honest. So a lot of this, here we go, because here we are. Although the storyline is very shaky, and there are a lot of shaky decisions, shaky as in racism, like a lot of choices that were made. Everyone's feedback on this film is also giving, I hear the barks, I hear the whistles, I hear the noises, because I'm just like, what's going on with you? Like, what's happening? I know we've seen movies that are abysmal, and a lot of the feedback that was given is just like, are you okay? But I know everybody's not okay. I really feel like, through an adult lens, like this is really like a lot of the other movies that came out around that time, to be quite honest. Even through a kid lens, like if you look at who's been in these movies, first of all, rest in peace to Natalie Reid, okay, because it really upsets me every day. But not even just that, like you got heavy hitters in here. You got Bernie Mac in here. First of all, you already know they're showing up Bernie Mac. I totally forgot Pierre Edwards was in The Wash. He was probably one of them dudes with the blowout and the curls. Like these are people you see in movies all the time. For this time, like especially Faison Love, for this time, like these people are cutting up. I expect to see this on BET Comic View, all the things, all the jokes, all the little tapes that your aunties and uncles and all that would have, all the little commercials that would come on. These are the people. So just like to your point of blaxploitation, like the budgets also that these people are having access to, like I want to know who came up with this money, like who funded this film. I see New Line backed it, but like did they really back it?
I don't think so. I don't think they were really into it.
And even like it's just I don't know. There are movies that are way shakier that are out in the world and that came out around this time. And I'm gonna go ahead and do my research, and I'm gonna come on back and give you a whole list because I have time. But I feel like they are not being judged as harshly or criticized as harshly as other films.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Freaked from 1995. That has a 50%. That movie is fun, but that movie is quite offensive in so many ways. But y'all was kikiing and laughing because all the white people in there. I think that Baps has the same problem that blaxploitation movies had, where it's like, oh, the characters are like caricatures, and Black people, of course, see that Black man wrote that review. He don't want that out there because, oh, well, this is what the white people are going to think about us. First of all, we should not be creating art for the likes of white people. Like, that we should be creating arts because, oh, you're going to think, and also white people should not see this movie and think that all Black people act like that because that's racist. So like, y'all get to fall over bowling balls and do the Three Stooges dumbass shit, and then don't nobody think everybody's stupid. Y'all literally had whole movies where y'all had sound effects hit people in the fucking head, and you want to sit here and be like, oh, this is stupid. Also, silly garb, bitch, you could never dress. You don't know. Never smacked you in the face.
I know. It's just like, right, this guy, I swear to God, like and I just don't. You guys make really good points, honestly, because like this movie, yes, with its shaky parts for sure, but is it as shaky as some other things? Absolutely not, like at all. And I was talking about it with Jazz before Kat came in. I was like, this movie does not need to use the N-word at all, or really any offensive language at all, to get its point across or anything like that. I'm just like, that doesn't always happen. Okay. And then you can look back on this and be like, oh shit, like what were we doing? What were we doing back then? This to me, I'm like, it's still good. Like there's a reason why young, especially Black kids, like watch this movie at a sleepover. This was something like Romeo and Michelle to them, like Romeo and Michelle was to me, where it's like, look at those outfits, look at these girls who are like iconic and wonderful. The stepsister from Cinderella, and that's Halle Berry, yes, bitch, like from the Flintstones movie or whatever. It's like there's a reason that this did good within that community and has been seen as this cult classic. So, and plus also it's not as shaky as some other things. It has its shaky parts for sure, but it's still doing so I don't know. That's just what I think. But anything else to add before we move on to how exactly this movie came to be?
Fuck the critics. That's all I got.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck y'all. But anyway, so pretty much how this movie came to be. So Troy Byer, and we'll talk a little bit about her because I've only seen like literally 2 of her movies, but pretty much this was written by her, and it was not directed, obviously, by her, but she wrote it. And we already know specifically that she was not happy with the cut of this film at all, because she has pretty much said that Robert Townsend took liberties with it. And pretty much kind of like, the final product that she saw, it was a completely different thing than what she had set out to do. And she really wrote this, honestly, I think, from what I can gather. So let me find this real quick. I have a Robert Townsend quote in here. But so Troy is quoted as saying back in 1988, I believe it was, I had written a movie called Baps. When I saw the final cut, I was so devastated because I really believed that my words had not honestly made it onto the screen. The director was a writer-director himself, and it was the first time he had directed somebody else's writing. He took the liberty of changing stuff as he shot the movie. At the end of the day, when I saw the film, I hated it. I was really embarrassed, and it was too late for me to take my name off the picture. Then I got killed by the critics. Me, the writer. I just thought I was going to take the money from this awful experience and put it into my own film. I'm going to direct it, and I'm going to make sure my words make it to the screen. If the critics try to kill me now, there's nothing that they can say that can hurt me, because I know that I did my very best. These are my words on screen, and I stand by them. So I took the money from Baps to make my own movie, which I believe was like a couple years later. I think it was The Joys of Sex or something like that she talked about. It was whatever movie she did after this. So yeah, needless to say, she was affected, and there's probably a reason why it took her a couple years, like a good 6 years or 7 years before she had her next thing that she actually helped direct, really, what she actually directed. So, but yeah, do you guys have any thoughts on Troy Byer or really anything about how this movie, again, that's pretty much how it came to be. She wrote it, and then Robert Townsend got his hands on it. And we'll talk about him in a minute.
Wow, that sounds like mess. I'm also seeing that, okay, her next movie was Let's Talk About Sex, but she directed Love Don't Cost a Thing. And then I saw the ratings on Love Don't Cost a Thing. And I'm like, I know y'all not playing in my face like this. Nick Cannon could be all the things right now. But what we not about to say is this movie is a 13%. No, we're not doing that.
What
and
the
that's
fuck,
not
Kat? Are you kidding me?
I'm so serious. Rotten Tomatoes score 13%. I'm looking at it right now. Troy Byer,
fucking kidding me.
Yep. So they directed this movie, and I'm just like, no, not like this.
The
So
girls don't like her. That's what it is. They don't like her, and they're bullying her in the reviews because 13%. And I know Love Don't Cost thing is silly. Okay,
it is.
It's silly, and of course it's formulaic, whatever. But we need Black coming of age stuff. Like we don't always have all that stuff. It's 50 million white coming of age stories, just like there's 50 million slapstick story, like comedies like Airplane, all them silly ass movies from back in the back. And you mean to tell me you gonna get this? See, again, they're hating. They're really hating. I'm glad this, she got to make something. But...
yeah. And also, again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying too. Like the reason this movie didn't do as good was because these people fucking reviewing it, they just don't fucking get it. They just think like, oh, wait, what? It comes back to racism. I think it does. Like, why do these movies that are Black led, whether it be written or directed, it's like fucking okay. So they're doing really bad. Love Don't Cost a thing, like you said, it's formulaic, but is it terrible? Is it worse than Babs? No, not at all. And plus, also, it's a remake of a white led film from the 80s. Okay, so who gives a shit? And you can't say nothing about Christina Milian. Listen, you see her. Okay, like, and that's like another Baltimore girl. So anyway, we got to still rep her. Listen, and again, we could say a lot about Nick Cannon because he kind of can be a piece of trash sometimes, sort of, kind of. But at that point, he was still fun. He was still like coming off the Nickelodeon days. So, we'll give him that at least. But yeah, that movie has its moments. But like, oh God, Jesus Christ. Joys of Sex is what I was talking about before. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate that. And you know what? It's not a surprise that she has not really written anything since then. She hasn't really directed anything either because she's probably like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to just like go do something else. Maybe this isn't for me, but I don't know, man. It's so fucking crazy. Anyway, so we're going to turn our attention to Robert Townsend as well, because again, do you know some of the things that he directed? I don't have them off the top of my head, but do you have some of the big things he directed by any chance?
I have him already pulled up because I had already opened it beforehand. Because I saw him, but I didn't even know he was a director because I always see him, in like movies and stuff, like or comedies and shows and things like that. Yeah, like you see him in those things, but I don't know what he directed. I just know he was in the movies. Oh, he also did Hollywood Shuffle. And I do believe I saw that as a young warthog back in the day. Oh, the 5 Heartbeats. Now that was a time. He
directed Eddie Murphy Raw. That's wild.
My God.
Okay, that makes so much sense now.
Oh, I've seen some of these movies. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm not even mad. These are fun movies. Carmen, a hip opera. Oh
yes.
Is that the one? Is that the one from MTV from back in the day?
Beyonce.
With Beyonce.
Yes. I support what he has directed, and I also support Babs. I'm sorry that the writer hated it, but I also would like to see what her vision was.
Up and
I
Away
agree.
The Disney movie Up and Away. Come on now, put respect.
I don't know if I've seen that. I only seen Up. Sorry.
It was the Disney movie, and they were a superhero family.
Oh yeah, I kind of know what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was like an actual movie that came out in the theaters, right?
I think so, but I think they also showed it on the show. On the channel. And apparently it's on Disney Plus right now.
Hey, yo, there you go. I know what I'm doing later tonight. Maybe not really. I'm going to bed. Anyway, so then we have Robert Townsend. He was actually, so if you haven't already listened, you should definitely go listen to this Ends at Prom. They just did a Babs episode. Love them. Great podcast. They had Livy Scott, who's an author. She's a writer. And she wrote the article that actually she interviewed Robert Townsend in. So I'll talk a little bit about what Robert Townsend talked about. So Livy states, I've got a bit of a selfish question. Babs is one of my favorite movies, and I keep thinking it would be so cool if it got a Criterion treatment as well. Because I guess Hollywood Shuffle got that as well. But do you likely think that Babs will be getting in there now, I guess? And he says, let me say this. I would love Babs there. It's kind of interesting because some people love Babs and then some people don't like Babs. And some people are mad because they go, you gave Halle Berry gold teeth and blonde hair. And he was like, yeah, I did. I was like, okay, there you go. Livy says, she still looked good. She still looked great. He's like, I thought so too. And then they were like, why is Robert doing this kind of comedy? but it's like the Beverly Hillbillies. It was funny and silly. It's so funny because people want a sequel to that. And I don't know. And then Natalie passed away, but I would love to do a Criterion on Baps. I really would. So thank you for asking. And then the other question is, I know it gets a bad rap, but I think it's kind of a similar film as Hollywood Shuffle in the respect of having your audience feel seen. And he has stated, the thing I would like to say is that I'm a filmmaker. It's a well-made movie. And if you go on the ride and go, oh, it's two country girls trying to make some money, and then they find out who they are. And at the end of the day, they do win. But it's because they're being honest and transparent. Do gold diggers or women that have ulterior motives exist? Yeah. These two country girls from Decatur, Georgia got caught up in the scheme. But at the end of the day, we revealed our heart. And it's a love story. There's people that love this film. And some people that don't get it, and those that love it, you love it and you get it. I've had people go, hey, we want to do a remake. Everybody from Meg Thee Stallion to Cardi B is like, can we do, I mean, it's like, I don't know. So thank you for asking. So I mean, yeah, this movie is like so many things. It's a love story, it's a finding yourself story, and yeah, so that's what Robert Townsend has to say, at least. So there you go. I think he did do a good job on it. Should he not have taken the liberties that he did? Maybe not, but it happens, dude. So it is what it is. So I will say this, like, what do you all think about, let's talk about this. So I know it's been probably a minute since you all have seen this, but I do want to ask, so because this movie is criticized as being like, oh, this is like this, blah, 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 whatever. What do you think in this movie doesn't work or age very well? Kind of like that, if you had to say.
The over exaggeration of the characters, because it's not like I understand that's a part of the camp, but it's high key just making me look like, all right, y'all, like, I know who made this, but like, and I know who wrote this, but it's also still making me nervous as to how this is being presented. I don't know if anybody else was like, I don't know. And then I think it's just the storyline in general. I think we can still scam our way to top, but maybe we can have a different scam, because like the love story, I get the love story and trying to reconnect with like, it's awesome, but awesome just like, okay, so they connected in what year? Like when they couldn't get married? Okay, so how was this set up? And everybody in this house, like, it's really making me nervous. The butler being racist. Everybody's racist in here. Like, it's really, I'm scared for my homegirls in here. I'm scared for the characters. I don't like that the way that they're acting on the airplane. Like, who wrote that part? Was that over exaggerated on purpose? Because it really, like, I'm definitely not a person who's moving like in the gaze of white people, but me watching these Black people on this screen and knowing Black people wrote this, I'm trying to figure out what happened. Like what's going on.
I think also too, that's a good point. I think also too, I wouldn't be surprised if like there was some studio interference, like once Townsend was in there, you know what I mean? Of like, how do we make this accessible for everybody? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, bitch, what if this movie is not supposed to be accessible for every single goddamn person? I get that it's like a $10 million budget, but it's like, I guess when you get money thrown at you like that, it's like, oh, you got to make this. It's like, yeah, but then as you were saying, how does that make people look? How does that make someone like you or like whoever you're talking about? Like, how does that make us look? Like, what the hell?
I mean, because the real thing is, I really enjoy the characters' outfits. I love everything about their personalities. I know plenty of people look that way. I love everything that they're doing. I'm just trying to figure out, was this written, now that I know that there was some interference, like, what was it originally written like? The scene could still be the same, but what about whatever was changed where I now feel ick when I'm watching this, instead of just seeing people on a plane? Like, yeah, that makes sense. They hate people. Like, once again, I was talking about this hair shows. People go to hair shows, and everybody has hair shows historically in all communities. Like, there's usually some sort of pageantry happening everywhere. So what about who, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel this way or what. Like, I'm watching the particular scene when they're on the airplane, and I'm just like, something about it was just like, usually when stuff happens in movies, I'm just like, I'd hold my nose. But this time I was kind of just like, I don't know. It was just something about the movie that gave a, I don't know. And I don't know if us and the other person were still in the same place of the, I don't know. I'm still having a good time. I love the outfits. I think the storyline is fun. I love when people try to scam their way to the top. I hate how they got looped up in the scam because they thought, they was doing it to a certain extent. And then I just also like the redemption arc. Like, the real thing is the girl, they were never taking their money. Like, he would still buy them stuff, but they're also just like, I mean, I feel bad about what all is going on. Like, let's really get it together. And it was just nice the way that it turned out in the end. I like stuff like that. It was just something, I think, how things were presenting themselves. Once again, not the individual characters and who they were portraying. I'm just like, my brain trying to see I could tell Halle Berry was doing too much putting this character together, if that makes sense. If you're walking with me, like her wearing the outfit, yeah, she looked good. Everything looks good. The hair, the way that the barrel rolls is sitting, the finger waves, it looks good. Everything looks good. It's on point. I see the influence. I see it all. But something about it still left me with ick. So I don't know. Like, and I also can't recall if I had this level or some sort of like inkling of this ick as a child. But as an adult, I'm just like,
Girl. I mean, as a child, I was like, haha. But now as a kid, not as a kid, while I was a grown up, it's just like, oh, haha, look at these loud Black girls on the plane. Because it's more so everybody's reaction, because they're like, oh God. Now, granted, she is smacking that dude next to her with her updo. I do understand you can't be smacking him with the updo, but also like y'all are making them a spectacle, kind of. Because even when the movie started playing, hey, put your hair down. Oh, and then the person got to come up to them and be like, hey, your hair's beautiful. Can you so now they sitting in the seat.
Deborah Wilson, that bitch from Mad TV. Yes, bitch.
I love your hair. Because I knew that was a real compliment, but
yes.
Now I felt her because she at work and she got to do her job, but she's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's like,
it wasn't beautiful. That Whitney she was doing on Mad TV. Listen, iconic, amazing.
Listen, so I get it, but also it's just like it falls into they are caricatures and it's not coming off as natural, especially with Halle Berry. I feel like Mickey's character is just a little bit more natural, just a little bit more, but they're over the top. They're just over the top. But I don't know, because I'm like, they allowed to be over the top because they have white people be over the top. It's a little like, it's a box, just like when they have hillbillies and they be doing a whole lot. They be in the car barefoot, picking their toes and stuff. And everybody be like, somebody got a banjo. Like, y'all, come on, y'all doing too much. But I bet you the people who are living in the backwoods are like, come on, bro. I put shoes on in the car. Like, why do you think this of me? Why do you think I do that? I don't do that.
Well, and also too, I mean, like, it's the thing of like, if we bring it back to Robbie and Michelle, I mean, these two girls who are very smart, and the actresses are very smart, but they're playing these airheaded people and whatever. And that seems to be fine of like, they're kind of these airheads who go to their high school reunion and they talk about how they invented Post-its because they don't realize that, right. Nobody would know that. But like, and they're allowed to be kind of like dim-witted a little bit. So yeah, but then as you were saying, when you have someone like Halle Berry and Natalie Desselle doing this, again, it's a matter of like how it makes you feel, where you're just like, I'm rocking with it, it's fun, but you're just like, what's going on here, So yeah, totally fair, makes total sense. So with that, and like I said, I mean, I completely get with what you guys are saying, but I will ask this too before we move into any kind of a plot thing, right? Do you feel like this movie should be remade at all? I mean, what do y'all think about that?
I think this movie is in a time capsule. I think if you need to watch Babs, you just need to pull out the 1997 Babs, because some movies, plot-wise, the 90s had a whole lot of hijinks going on. Hijinks doesn't do very well now. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, this movie is literal hijinks. Oh, this happened, and then this happened. Now we in this on an adventure because somebody done pulled up on us and offered us some money, and we ain't got none, so we need it. And now the story is unfolding, and y'all scamming. And I mean, I thought scammers would do well, because everybody's scamming now. Like, it's popular to steal and get credit cards. They be making whole songs about it. But
one of my icons is Joey and the Scammer, obviously, iconic, but whatever.
Listen, scamming is popular now, but I just feel like, no, we know you can just pop in the VHS, or you can rent it. It's digital. Just, you can rent it, love. We don't even have to remake this, because it's too iconic, and you can't remake it without doing the iconic scenes. But also, some of them you can't really do that. You can't be having them slipping and sliding over a bidet. Not in this year, 2023. You can't do that.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, do you have anything to say, Kat? with
I
that?
was just thinking it's not gonna slap the same. Like it's just gonna be like this is just as you point. It's in a time capsule. It does what it needs to do because at that time, like this didn't feel weird. Like it kind of fell in line with the other movies. So I'm wondering, like, I wish I was an adult so I can kind of view all these things through an adult lens at the time in real time. Because once again, it fell in line with everything else you were saying, or whatever little dollar store movie, kind of like the two movies, or your little Dollar Tree find right now. Like it's the same shit, but choices were made. So
yeah,
it's all good.
I agree. And I also am just like, people have wanted to say like, oh yeah, Cardi B and like Meg Thee Stallion should be in it or whatever. I'm like, here's the thing with that though, is that I mean, they have cool chemistry. Like WAP is amazing, whatever. But like, if they ever did do a remake to Baps, I'm like, how you gonna tone them down to be PG-13? Because I don't need Cardi and Meg to be like doing their thing going on. Love them, don't get me wrong, they're great. Cardi has her moments, but it's like, if they ever did do one, I'm like, first off, you would need Troy Byer like literally fucking directing it. Let's just say that, number one. And number two, I don't need it to be I want it to be PG-13. I would want that if you want to do that, but like you were saying, hijinks don't really work like that. You can't be doing that shit because it's so much more like, have y'all ever seen like Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead? Have you watched that movie before?
Yep.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
I love that movie. And we just covered it not too long ago. But like that movie, like Sue Ellen couldn't get away with that shit nowadays. They would have put a background check on her. They would have seen she's 17, bitch. Like all of this stuff. So like, yeah, they would have like figured this out. Like, I don't know, man. It's just like, it's not going to happen. I feel a similar way about Romy Michelle. Me and my girl Barbie, we were talking about it, right? And I was like, oh, hey, yeah, like that'd be cool. Because I feel like they would do a Disney Plus one of it. Kind of like how they did Cheaper by the Dozen. They had Zach Braff and Gabrielle Union in it. And we love Gabrielle Union. But I'm just like, did you really need to remake that, y'all? Like, really? Okay. So I feel like they would do like that, like a Hocus Pocus 2 type of thing. And my girl Barbie was all like, I don't think they need to remake it. Why? Have a sequel to it. Like, they don't need it. I was like, what are they going to do? I'm like, you're right. You're completely right. Also, everyone's down to do it, but like, do you really need it? Probably not.
Also, I'm tired of people casting people. Oh, they had the looks. So that does not mean they are going to portray these characters in a way. Cardi B is Cardi B in anything that she play. Like, and Cardi B is not a character in Baps. So her hair look good, yes, but she's not it. Vega, I don't know what her acting capabilities are, but also, like, I don't know, guys. They look nice, but you can't just be like, yeah, let's put these two bad bitches in a movie. Is it going to make money? Yes, because I'm not going to lie. I'm streaming. I'm going to stream it. But also,
at least to stream.
Is it going to be very good? Probably not. It's not going to capture the same magic that they had back in the back.
It's going to give Gang of Roses. And actually, I like Gang of Roses.
I haven't seen Gang of Roses in a minute. It's a yeehaw movie, so I don't know. I think I like Gang of Roses.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Sorry.
I don't know. It's like I'm still just. It's good. I don't know. Now I'm excited.
Listen, now I gotta look these things up so I can culture myself. But anyway, it's all good. Anyway, so now that we've kind of talked a little bit about that information, again, there's not too much production history with this. A lot of it's already just found anyway. But we're going to move into a little bit of a plot summary of this film. So if you would like to if you want to maybe tag team it, if you were to tell somebody uninitiated, what is Baps about? How would you kind of tell somebody what this movie is about, I guess?
We both were like, okay.
No, you go ahead. Have a floor, friend.
All right. Go ahead. I just feel like, okay. Two waitresses pull the scam of a century across the nation. That's all you need. I don't because I don't like to tell anybody, like, I don't want to give nothing away. All you know is these two girls are going across the country to pull a scam. And that's all.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Or you can say they're trying out for this music video and things go awry.
That's true. That's so true. But yeah, it's fun, I guess, But we will kind of talk a bit about this movie anyway. We're going to move into it. Pretty much the plot of this movie that we'll go through So we got these two friends pretty much. I'm going to pull up my reminders app. You know, I got my little notes. So pretty much we have these two waitresses like you're talking about. You got Niecy and Mickey. So Tamika is Mickey and Denise is Niecy, but we will be further referring to them as Niecy and Mickey. They work at Johnson's Soul Food, who is Bernie Mac is Mr. Johnson. He's the owner of this place. We have our intro to the girls, played by Halle Berry and Natalie Desselle's Reid, respectively. And then we also have Dolomite in this movie, Rudy Ray Moore, because he's a patron of their restaurant. I will say I love the line in this movie of girl, he think he Dolomite. And I'm like, it is Dolomite though. Like, hilarious. It's very funny. And it's good writing, kind of, sort of. But yeah, the basic idea is that for some reason, Niecy, she keeps hearing about this video girl of the world, like, contest thing. She hears about it on the radio. And she will then hear about it later. But pretty much these girls are walking home from work. And we find that they have these two boyfriends, right? So we got the two boyfriends. These gentlemen are played by Pierre Edwards and AJ Johnson. Has AJ Johnson passed away? I feel like he's the one who passed away. I don't remember exactly. Before I kill him, wait a minute. Let me look my stuff up real quick.
Yes, they died in 2021, and
that's what I figured.
Did not
Yeah,
know that.
I didn't. I literally was like, wait a minute. One of them I think might have passed away like recently.
Dang.
I know, right? What the hell, dude? But anyway, so we get that these guys, they're kind of like, I don't want to say they're scrubs, but like they kind of are a little bit.
They ain't got
like,
no job.
I know, like they are just like, and that's the funny thing about it is that like, you know, Niecy and Mickey are talking about like, you know, well, you ain't got no job, like you're living off a pipe dream, all this stuff. And then the same could kind of be said for them though, because like pretty much like she's going after like being a video girl.
Have a job.
They do have a job, I will say that, but then they give up the job to go be a video girl. And you're like, listen, don't judge me.
But that's for one day.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's for one day.
They working every day.
Yeah, them people, them fools ain't had jobs for 3 months. And they gonna talk about, oh, we was thinking about applying to jobs. Girl, get a job.
You better get that. You better get up in that warehouse, bitch. Like, what you mean? Like, you better be doing that.
Drive a truck or something. Like, I don't care what you do. You better figure something out. Especially 97. You could find you a little job. I think you could. Right. I don't know. I would say
maybe job market. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But anyway, so I also said the perm is permanent with Ali. I think his name was. That perm was permanent. I was just like, listen, it was kind of iconic though. I also just have to say these outfits are iconic. Even just like their waitress outfits, I think are really fun. Like they're cool. Of course, the louder outfits later on in the movie, they're also iconic. Ruth Carter, got to give her flowers. She's now an Oscar award-winning costume designer. Wonderful. But pretty much we see that Niecy is doing hair, so we find out that's her thing, and Mickey is like a chef, pretty much. She already works like a short order cook. But they're like, Niecy's doing her hair, you know, getting her cute little, you know, curls going on. But then she also sees the TV. Dallas from MTV is talking about the video girl of the world. And then she also sees in the magazine, she always says like, you know, my mama says things come in threes. So I've seen this thing 3 times. We need to go to LA. Just like that, you know, they're just like, we're just going to leave our apartment and just like do this and we'll make it work, I guess. Right. So this is where they decide to go to LA pretty much. So then they decide to go to the good old Gold Tooth, for ladies' night, because they can get into. Y'all ever been to ladies' night though? Yes. I don't know nothing about it.
I have. And like, listen, free before 9 or free before 10 or free before 11. You know, you pull up to the club real early so you get it because you know when you ain't got no money, you trying to pay.
Drinks. Good prices on drinks.
Sliding in them hurricanes is only $4.
There you go. That must be nice at least. You know, I never got that shit. So I always had to just pay. So anyway, they try to get drinks. And then, so these two guys are all like, you know, they're not their boyfriends, but like they go after them and they're like, oh, hey. And the bartender's like, it's $16. Like, who's giving me money for these drinks? Neither of them, man. But then Ali and James, they come and then like Ali punches one of the guys because he's being kind of rude to DC, honestly. And then also, I think one of the guys does call Ali Captain Save-A-Ho, which I'm just like, really? Okay. Like, all right.
That's why you got punched.
And that's why you got punched, because that's exactly what it was. Listen, you want to be slick with that mouth. Okay. I do have in my notes, Ollie and James try to be suave, but these boys are broke. Because again, they try to buy drinks and it's like, hey, yo, we're not doing this anymore. You need to get your shit together. I also said in my notes, Ollie, I don't know if y'all think this, a little bit of baby Keegan Michael Key. Did anybody else think that a little bit, tiny sort of, like in the face?
For me, no, because I've seen him before. I've seen the other ones. So if anything, they look like him because he's been in all the movies. He was in How to Be a Player. He was in everything back in the day. Yeah, he was always in some BET shenanigans or on Comic View telling jokes and stuff like that. So a lot of these people that you see in here are also comedians. So you would see them on literally on Comic View, everything that had the jokes, all the jokes. Yes, joke stars. They ain't here.
Def Comedy Jam, excuse me.
That's true. It's true. I will always remember, I didn't really watch it a ton, but I do remember 106 in Park. Is that what it was? 106.5 in Park or something? Was that what it was?
106 in Park, yeah, but they would be on here.
Yeah,
they did like where the shows they come on would come on after that, or you would see them on other channels or on the local circuit. So posters around town or on the radio station because once again, access. That's why I was like, I'm not even going to be this harsh a critic of this film because I understand access. I understand what it's trying to do. I understand what kind of the viewpoint. I just don't necessarily agree with everything that was done. Right.
Yeah, because that was kind of like TRL back in the day a little bit for them. That wasn't just on MTV, obviously. It was on BET. So little history lesson for the kids out there. Kids listening, whatever. Hello, youths. But anyway, so the girls decide to go out to LA. I will also say, too, we do have Deborah Wilson in here playing the stewardess, just doing her job. God, I love her so much. She's so funny. Best Whitney Houston impression ever, just because of how camp she was. And also, I'm glad that she was in Hypochondriac I'm glad she got a check. Good for her playing that doctor. Go watch Hypochondriac if you haven't already, y'all. Anyway, I know you guys have, but yeah. Anyway, this is also where they get to LA and they rush LL Cool J. And some of these fucking things, that is particular scene is hilarious because they're just like, I already stay with his baby's mama and everything. And if it don't work out, listen, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And I'm kind of loving it though, to be honest with you.
I had secondhand embarrassment. As a kid, I was like, haha. As an adult, I'm like, oh no, this is cringe. Please stop. You do not know him.
I know.
And me as a kid, I was like, why does everybody love LL Cool J? Oh my God. I just could not. And he's a good looking man. But as a child, totally. I was not. I just didn't get it. I was like, why are y'all chasing him in the airport, girl? It is never that deep.
I know. Yeah. He was in, he would end up being in, Halloween H2O like the year later. So good for him. Good for you, LL Cool J.
And Deep Blue
Glad
Sea.
For you. And Deep Blue Sea. I still need to watch that. I know you're a shark movie apologist. I understand that. And I'm just like, I need to watch Deep Blue Sea, goddammit. Because listen, don't you worry. Little spoiler, not spoiler, but little teaser for the end of this year. We may or may not be doing a shark themed movie for the end of the year. Y'all already know. But anyway, so oh God. Shout out. I hope you suffer. Love you guys. Anyway, I will also say the line for this dance audition is like iconic too, because like it's just them in these outfits and everything. But I will also say, listen, those dance moves that Niecy has, I mean, honestly, should have gotten an award, like, because that's literally me dancing in the club, just like, just all of it. And I was like, yeah, girl, you better do it. But you know what I love about these characters, though? I must say, with Niecy and Mickey in particular, I love how supportive they are of one another. And I also think this is a reason why this movie has a staying power, because in no way during this movie that I remember, they have like an internal fight where they're just like, bitch, I hate you or whatever, right? Like they don't have that. Like they're so supportive of one another that she's just like, yeah, that's my girl. That's my girl. I'm like, you know what? Get you a friend like Mickey, honestly, who's going to be your homegirl, like your ride or die. I love that for her, because it's like, yeah, those dance moves were, they were something. Listen, I loved them though, but I'm just saying.
It's all good. We love support.
Love support. Yeah.
It's better than Pearl. She did. She danced.
She sure did dance better than Pearl. Let's discuss.
I had not seen Pearl yet, y'all, but I mean, listen.
Enough
Listen.
said.
It's fine. I saw X where she was like doing that, before she spoiler alert kills that guy. But like, that was fun. But the whole thing is that she's fucking like delusional, I think, right? Like that's kind of the thing. So anyway. But yeah, so needless to say, Niecy does not make it in the audition. So they're about to go back to their little motel room or go find a motel room when this guy, Antonio, comes and picks them up. So they bring him back to this fucking mansion, who's like, hey, look, like, we're going to do this, right? Just bring him back to a goddamn mansion. Why not? It's Beverly Hills. Apparently, this mansion was also at one point owned by Beyonce, like in the future, apparently. I guess it's like a famous house, I assume. I didn't look up like that, sorry. But I wouldn't be surprised if it like went from celebrity to celebrity, B could do what she wants. It's fine. But then we pretty much we have Isaac, who is the nephew of this rich guy that owns the house. We have Manly, who is kind of a hating ass like butler at first, who whatever, because Manly opens the door and he like greets the girls. He's just like, begging is not permitted in Beverly Hills, and it's like, okay. But Isaac's like, oh no, they're allowed to be here, it's fine. It's all good. And these girls are then shown to their room, pretty much like they're allowed into the house. First off, you got all these housekeepers up in here, like, really, y'all need that many housekeepers? Are you kidding me? I know it's a big house, but goddamn, like,
They got
you
money.
just keep they got money, like, listen, insert Quinta Brunson gif here, honestly. Yeah, so they get shown to their room by Manly. I will say this fucking bidet scene though. So like you were saying earlier with this slapstick, and I'm so glad that we have this in a film because it's really actually still very funny. And it's cool to see like slapstick not only in this movie, but also just like Halle Berry being a fucking fool. I love it. Like, because I don't think she was known for comedy. So her being in this, just like, hell yes. Why do we not have her be more funny? I think she's actually funny. Like, what the hell?
I just thought about that. Yeah, I don't think she's in a lot of. I'm thinking about. I'm like,
No, because she's not even like funny in Flintstones, technically. I mean, that's a comedy because it's, whatever. But no, she just doesn't have that. But she can do that, though.
She was like the sexy secretary.
She was, listen, Sharon Stone, I think her name was.
She was the
dumbest name. She was a bad bitch, but it's the dumbest name that I loved. Because I'm just like, yes, bitch, Sharon Stone, you better do it, bitch. Like, we might cover it on the pod one day. I'm just saying that movie meant a lot to me in some way. Rosie O'Donnell forever. Anyway, but the crux of this story, though, if we had to just base it, so pretty much this guy Isaac is like, hey, my uncle is dying of cancer, and like to bring happiness to his life, I need to find somebody, or I'm trying to find somebody to portray this granddaughter of his long lost love, Lily, who was like the housekeeper of his like childhood home or whatever, is pretty much what that is. And that's where you come in. Niecy, okay, you're gonna play this. Why couldn't Mickey play it? I don't know, but she just was along for the ride. Okay, I guess because Niecy was actually doing the video audition. Like, was just Mickey just being like, yeah, you better do it, girl, you better do it. Okay, whatever.
I thought they were both trying. Yeah, I thought they were both trying out. I don't know. I thought they were both.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. They were just a duo at that point, I guess, right? Anyway, so that's the basic idea, is that Niecy is hired to be like, hey, you're going to be Lily's granddaughter. And you just have to make that up pretty much. I'm like, okay, great. We meet Mr. Blakemore. Throughout my notes, I have him as Blakemore or Blackmore because I was paying attention to the movie, but like I also had to take notes. So I was like, oh, this guy, Martin Landau, right? Anyway, he's being a cranky old man. They meet him. I will also say they're at dinner, right? And if you haven't watched it in a minute, but like in this dinner scene, there's literally the same shot of Mickey drinking water used 3 different times. The same shot, though. It's the same fucking thing. I swear. It's literally her with her glass of water just being like drinking
she was just doing it over and over again because as a part of this, they tricked me.
I think they were using the same fucking thing, Kat, because I was like, I think this is the same shot. Because like they're asking, like Blakemore's asking her, like Niecy, about like, Lily or whatever. And Niecy's and Mickey's just looks like, no, not me. I do it. I helped you. This is your shit, okay? But then they look at this like a bland Caucasian food that they are presented in front of, and they were like, oh no, I can't. I'm not eating this. Like, is pretty much what's happening, because it's like healthy food because Mr. Blakemore is like on a diet because he's tried not to die, I guess. But Mickey's just like, no, literally, I'm not eating this. So like, I'm gonna like go in and literally just like make a whole new like batch of food that's like soul food pretty much. And so yeah, they end up doing that. So they make a whole new platter pretty much. I mean, you expect to believe that guy just kept sitting for food. Like, she just whipped that up in like just a few minutes. Like, he was just continuing to sit.
Also, I'm surprised. Like, you saying this bland. How you have all the seasons and stuff you need in this kitchen? Clearly, they're not using them. I don't. Because I didn't even think about that as a young warhog. And also, why are you in their house cooking stuff up? I don't like that. Like, I know you know how to cook, and I know that's your thing. But I don't like that. It's almost giving like a mammy roll, and I don't like that, because you see later she's whipping him up all this stuff, like making him a special juice, and I'm like, first of all, this is supposed to be Niecy roll anyway. Now you filling in like borderline to help, and I know they taking you shopping and stuff, but I don't.
That's true.
I don't know about that. I don't know, girl.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. And that's why you can have your own opinion about the movie too, where you're like, I don't know if I like that a whole lot. Again, Niecy's there. I mean, Mickey's there because that's her friend, but I'm just like, what they using you for though? Like, I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so this is where we also see, so Niecy and Mickey are in their room together, and they get this nice ass room. Antonio, the guy from earlier, and Mickey somehow get together, and like they're trying to like do a little something, which is fine, I guess. But then we have like them going to sleep, and then the next day, because they're talking about like, they're making this food. So Mickey's making the food for Mr. Blakemore, and Manley comes down, and he's just like, oh, this like, this him being like a British guy. He's just like, this food is to be known as, it clogs the arteries and like all this kind of stuff, blah, 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 blah. He's freaking out about soul food. But like, Niecy's just like, not the way she does it. Like, I mean, she does it perfectly well. Like, and good for her, I guess, like making food for him. Because I think this is supposed to be showing that like they're trying to help expand Mr. Blakemore's worldview. So like, instead of him eating this like bland ass food because he's like trying to be healthier, or his staff wants him to be healthy, so that they continue having jobs. But this is kind of showing like, okay, well, they're giving him like this hearty food. They're like exposing him to music, because then Manley goes to the record store because like they're going to get, groceries or whatever the hell. But they're like, hey, stop by the record store because they could get some music, I guess. And of course, he gives them all the hip hop music, all the rap music to get. And I was just like, it's funny. It's fun. And so, of course, the young man who works there is all like, oh, hey, the classical's over there. And he's just like, oh, no, I'm looking for Tupac, Too Short, Bitch Better Have My Money, and all of this. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. But like, they're opening his horizons, I guess, is what the whole point is. Because then you see that Mr. Blakemore is a lot happier than he was when he was a cranky old man, pretty much. So we then see the girls and Mr. Blakemore in the pool together. Mickey's just like lounging, and like Niecy's like playing basketball with him, which is very cute. I don't even know if this is like something, but like, do people ever really think that like somehow, some way, like, that she was somehow going to ever do anything sexual with him at all? Because I never got that ever. I don't know if people think of that, but I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I just think she was just like friends with him though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if people think like, was this an escort sugar baby type of thing? Because I don't really know about that. Y'all have any thoughts about that, of like, what is their relationship supposed to be, I guess?
I never thought it was going to be like nothing like that.
Either.
Yeah.
No, not either. Yeah.
It just came off like, it's more like not like family, but like, oh, this is Lily's daughter or something. Mm-hmm. Of course, if he was in love with Lily, you're not about to be fucking on her daughter. Like that's
true. Yeah.
Ooh.
Which is always, what's funny, Jazz, about that is that like, I think about that only because literally one of the taglines of this movie is these pretty women are Clueless. And I was like, apparently that was the tagline. I was like, this movie isn't really Pretty Woman though. Like, where do you get that? Because of their like, because it's in LA and their outfits, maybe? Where's Pretty Woman come into this? That's literally about a sex worker who like gets caught up by Richard Gere. Okay, so
where
like
did
that's what that
Clueless
is.
come into this? Because that was also completely
the
different.
outfits, I guess.
And these women were not like any
Airheads.
of the characters that are in either.
Sorry.
They're not airheads. So that's why I'm also annoyed by the reviews. I'm like, these are regular people. Yeah, they're kind of like amped up and just like giving extra camp, but they got jobs. They out here working.
Yeah.
They get into the bag. They seem the dumbest shit I didn't see them do with this movie is dating the people with no money consistently and constantly taking them back. I mean, love is blind. It'll take over your mind. But also like,
listen, Eve, let me tell you what. Sorry.
Truly. But I'm also just like, between that and just like
right.
why they got wrapped up into the scam. I think that's the only dumb things I think they did because they were at work. They were working. They were doing everything else. And this scam was not foolproof. Like the scam was given racist and house slave the entire time for a chunk of the movie. So that was the dumbest choice I thought they made.
Yeah. I really don't understand that tagline of Pretty Woman and Clueless because like you were saying, where's Clueless come in? Those are high school students and they're also rich. Like at the end of the day, like these girls are not rich. Also, are we what age are we supposed to expect that these girls are? Like, are we supposed to expect they're in their 20s, I guess? Like, because both of these ladies were like well into their late 30s, like, well, their 30s, I guess. I would say either one of them. I think they're similarly aged. But I'm just like, are we supposed to expect that these are like young people, like younger 20s or something? I don't know.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah, I would say that. Also, as a kid, most grown-ups were created equal. So I was just like, oh, they're a grown-up. That's all that mattered. They were just, oh, they're grown up. They work a job. I never thought about young adult versus like, I feel like they are about 25 because when you hit 20, especially in the 90s, you hit 25 and you ain't got no direction in your life. Your life is over. And now it's like, girl, these 25-year-olds don't know what they're doing either. Neither do I. I don't know.
Neither do I. I'm 30 fucking years old. I don't fucking know. I'm just living life and just trying to deal with this. I like your I like the the thing you guys say with real life Sims because real life Sims is out of control here. Anyway, we got to have our obligatory shopping montage because Mickey got her hair wet and she's all pissed off and whatever, which to be fair, that's fair. So there Mr. Blakemore's just like, let's go on a shopping spree. Let's get your hair done. Let's do that. So you got to have the obligatory fucking shopping montage, man. Love it. And that's also iconic. They have all these different outfits. I will also say with these outfits, I love that obviously Halle Berry is Halle Berry, but like the way they dress Natalie Desselle as a larger woman is just so good because everything she wears is so fitted and tailored to her that I'm just like, fuck yes. Like this is so good. Especially having someone like a Natalie Desselle who is this kind of character actress who's kind of put into that, but maybe because she's like obviously Halle Berry, she doesn't look exactly like Halle Berry, obviously, but she's still very funny. She's still really good. And I love that their outfits Ruth Carter did a good job at really helping them be like, oh, there's the similar style in this. They're just made differently, which is really nice. I really liked that. Yeah, so we have that. We also find out Isaac's secret plan. We're like 50% through the movie, I guess. The basic evil plan is that he's making this so that he's making this whole thing up pretty much where like we already knew that they were lying about Lily's granddaughter, obviously, but pretty much that he's gonna try and get his money like from his uncle or whatever the fuck, but he's using these girls in particular to scam and blackmail them pretty much to like set up like, oh, these ladies were like stealing his money and whatever the fuck. And that also is a fucked up thing because I'm like, I wonder, was he just going after some like actress who like was desperate for money, or like was he specifically going after a woman of color or something? I don't really know. It's not really exactly, it's not identified, but I'm just like,
he scoped them out.
Yes.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah. And it just so happens that the duo is there. If it was just Niecy, it'd be different. But like, because it's Niecy and Mickey, But yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm kind of like, okay. And see, that's smelly behavior too. That's just like, really? Okay.
Yeah, because they knew if you say they steal, the court, anybody about to listen, y'all are rich, they are going to go to jail or they're going to get some kind of consequence, which is really not fair.
It isn't, right? And I'm just like, really? You think you got all your shit? But he learns. Oh, don't worry. I will also say that so again, Manly is kind of this like bit of an antagonist. I think you even said Kat that he was being racist to them towards that, yeah. But I will say that they do soften to him a little bit, and the reason for that is because of soap operas. Because what else do you fucking do when you're like the butler, except for just watch soap operas? I know you love you some soap operas, Kat. Listen, I know you're.
I do. General Hospital, One Life to Live. I am still here. I am still in Port Charles every week.
Do you see this face? If you saw this face that Jazz has, she's just like, I can't do it. But and listen, I'm also the same person who is actively trying to watch all of Dawson's Creek and said help because I can't do it. And I'm also the same person who watched 6 Feet Under on HBO, and I love that show, but I'm just like, it's just a soap opera at the end of the day. It just has nudity and dying in it, but no, it's a soap opera. Like, it's fine. It's totally fine. It's fine.
Big Love was my soap opera. I was watching that show. That show is messy.
Oh my God. Let's do a rewatch podcast of Big Love because I never watched that shit. I can't do it. I can't.
Oh,
wasn't it polygamy? Like, was that the whole thing?
Lots of drama.
Yeah.
I feel like my mom watched that. My sister did too. I'll have to report back. I'll have to talk about that. But yeah, so they get to know each other because, like, of course, Niecy and Mickey, I guess, on their days off, watch soap operas. And so Manly does too. So they're able to like kind of have a commiseration with that. It's very nice. Anyway, so then we have Mr. Blakemore is like taking the girls out to dinner. Again, I guess secondhand cringe a little bit where they just like are freaking out to these like celebrities that are there. So like they do see Heavy D because Heavy D is the guy who they auditioned for the music video of. So they see him, but they also have, I don't remember his name, but he's the guy I think in Waiting to Exhale, because one of the lines that Niecy has is like, I'm waiting to exhale. I'm waiting to exhale. I'm like, I guess it's the guy from Waiting to Exhale. I'm assuming. I guess. I don't know.
I forget his name. He played David Ruffin.
I guess
I know
so.
who you're talking about, and he wasn't Waiting to Exhale. He definitely was.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I got the internet right here. Right here. My internet machine. I got it right in my hand. Hold on. We gotta put some respect on his name.
Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Please.
Oh my God. Was that Howard Hewitt? No, he was a musician. Wait a minute. Oh, Leon Robinson. He was in the Temptations. He was also, he was also in the 5 Heartbeats you were talking about earlier.
And she was yelling his name, Leon. I said, baby, that is David Ruffin.
Yes, it is.
Nobody's coming to see you, Otis.
Nobody's going to see you, Otis. And then also Cool Runnings. He was in that movie too. Okay. Yeah. Look at that. This is not a Leon Robinson podcast, but God damn it, I'm interested. Anyway, I'll have to do that later. Get Rich or Die Trying he was in too. That movie was a lot. That movie was a lot.
I have a confession. I've never seen that movie all the way through because 50 Cent makes my stomach hurt. So there's that.
Like,
it was a lot.
I can't blame you for that though, because listen, like when you get shot 9 times, I'm just like, okay, whatever, like, cool, dude. Anyway, so like we're getting through this movie though, but like I will say this, one of the other really good movie moments of this film is when Niecy and Ali are talking to each other on the phone. And it's the obvious iconic thing of like, Manly ends up talking for her pretty much. So we have the whole scene of like something about like being in Hollywood or whatever. And then, and he hopes you don't get played. And then she's like, oh, I'm tripping. Well, I hope his mama don't get played. Go on, say it. Go ahead, tell him. And it's just so funny. Like that whole scene is like very funny to me, but it does end in a nice way where he's just like, he's sorry. And like, he thinks he's the one who's tripping and he hopes to see you, whatever the fuck. Because again, I will say too, with this movie, I forget the boyfriends exist at some point. I really do. I literally am like, oh wait, they have boyfriends. They're not like queer. Oh fuck. God damn it. Because I'm literally like, I don't care about these boyfriends. I mean, Yeah, I'm glad they get their shit together, but I'm just like, I could give a shit less, to be honest. I'm way more interested in the girls. Like, they're way more interested. No shade, no shade to the boyfriends. I'm just saying, dude, like, I can't. I will say too, though, because Antonio in his conniving ass, he makes Mickey touch the safe or whatever and like get her prints all over it. But I will say too that Mickey is saving herself for marriage, which is good for her. She has values and her own morals. That's good. But I'm just like, all right, girl, good for you. But this guy's taking advantage of you. So, that's just like not great, not wonderful. But yeah, so their romance is really weird. I feel like it's so shoehorned in a way where I'm just like, all right, Mickey, what are we doing? Like, what are you doing? But we have to have a movie, I guess. So I will say that there is a robbery going on. We find out this robber is like breaking into some shit. And then pretty much what happens from there is that the girls fight him. And they throw those hands, though. Like, they really do. I love it. Like, that's very funny to me, where I'm just like, they're beating his ass and I love it. But they end up finding out that the guy who's the robber is actually Antonio. So they like call the police and they get him arrested, which is wonderful and great. But they do come down and whoop his ass. And then also Niecy like punched him in the face again. So I love that. It's wonderful. And Isaac is being just a fuck pretty much, that like, because everyone knows at this point Isaac is evil. So like, that's all fine. I do say Manly is the real one because he's like, he knocked me out. And like, this has nothing to do with these girls. Like, it's all like Isaac, you don't give a shit about anybody except yourself. So like, great. And then also there is a scene where like Mickey is like checking. It's not a stupid scene. It's not, but it's like just a scene that's thrown in where they check to see if he's dead or not in his room after this whole thing. Cause he slept through the whole thing. Mr. Blakemore did. And so like, literally they're like, okay, didn't you go to the CPR class? Like, can't you check and be like, I went for all the cute guys, I don't remember everything, which fair. And anyway, so like, they're like, check his pulse, just like his pulse. And they're literally just like, she's checking his pulse or whatever, about to, and then she gets stuck in his arm, which is very funny. And again, it's just that slapstick kind of thing going on where it's like, whatever, that's cool, I guess. We do have we're like closing in on the end of this movie, but like we have Troy Byer, who is Tracy Shaw in the movie. Mm-hmm. She's there talking to Mr. Blakemore about like, here's what the plan was, because then Isaac's plan is pretty much like rolled out pretty much. That like, hey, look, like he and Antonio were going to steal this money pretty much, like, and they were able to do this, that, and the other with him, so that kind of brings a kibosh to Isaac and his plan. But the girls and Mr. Blakemore, they have a nice little meeting. This is the scene you were talking about, I think, Kat, where it was, or Jazz, when one of you were talking about it. Both of you might have been talking about it, but it was where they give him a drink and they make like a boner joke because they're just like, this got him up and got him up. And I was just like, oh, okay. That's a fun little boner joke, I guess. It's a PG-13 movie. You got to get it in once.
Listen, I didn't catch it when I was 7. I didn't know what they meant. I was like, "Wait, I don't know what you're talking about." It went
right
over my head. And now the girl, I'm like, oh,
they're talking about him doing that. And again, that's why I'm just like, wait a minute, like. They don't even put it. What's funny with this trailer too is that they put in there like the line of, in the trailer they say, I ain't giving up my booty, and I'm like, I don't think they say that in the movie at all. Funny enough, like I'm just like, okay, so you obviously shot that for the trailer, as we know that is to happen. And I'm just like, okay, y'all, like that's what I'm saying. I'm like, what was the messaging of this? Like, are we supposed to believe that like these ladies would really do that with him? Like, I'm like, I don't fucking know. He wants to give them back to the movie, wants to give them $50,000 because like he feels like he can trust them. And they're just like, all right, cool. Like, but we don't want your money. Like, we don't need it. Like, even though they're like $50,000, I'm like, you could have taken that shit though. But no, it's not about that. Like, we're here because we want to be here and we're not just taking your money. Like, we're not doing it because they have values and morals and wonderful stuff like that, which is great. Nice little message for the kids watching. But yeah, so then they decide to go out to the club, as they do, and they're getting their lives They really do. This is where they have, I think Giddy Up is one of the things on there, which I love that. And they do have some good club hits. This soundtrack is like fun. I do enjoy it a lot. And Niecy is they're getting their lives, but then because Mr. Blakemore is an old man and he like gets a little winded, they like have him like go to the side and they're just like, okay, like you get yourself together and like we'll start to go home though. But they was getting it though. I kind of loved it. I was like, yes, you better do it. But anyway, so the girls, the gang is how I call them. They're going home in the limo. Mickey is just like passed out, like, snoring, which again, she's supposed to be the more comic relief, I guess, even though both of them are funny, but Mickey only has so much to do, I think. But anyway, so then Niecy is talking to Mr. Blakemore about Ali. And she's like, I really love him, but like, he just doesn't have any direction. He doesn't have any goals. And he's like, that actually kind of reminds me of myself, and this person pushed me to like go and do this like fabrics business or whatever the fuck that made me rich. Right. And she's like, oh, that's nice. Who was it? Who helped you do that? And he was like, it was Lily who like pushed me to do that. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, because again, she's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be the granddaughter of this lady, right? Fuck. Anyway, so I don't know. I really like their little relationship they have because I do think they have a deep connection of like, yeah, they just became friends with this older man. And it's like really nice. So yeah, I kind of love that. I really do. But I do say that her and Mr. Blakemore have a heart to heart because yeah, they're just talking about like, hey man, like love is there and love is not worth wasting pretty much. And so if you love him, like if you love this Ali guy, like tell him, and if it's worth it, it's not worth letting it go away, I guess. So that's nice. Niecy and Mickey have their little fight though. They do have to have a little fight about like, Niecy, what are you feeling? But it's because Niecy also, because it's Halle Berry. So like, of course you have to use her for this, but like she feels bad. She's like, you know what? I don't want to take advantage of this guy. Like he's a perfectly nice dude who like all these people around him are trying to get something from him. And I don't want to be part of that. So you know what we're going to do, Mick? We're going to write a letter. We're going to put it all out there, everything. Right. And then pretty much we're going to like escape in the morning, not escape, but like we're going to leave in the morning and we're going to leave this behind and say like, hey, look, like we're not doing this anymore. This beautiful drama moment is what I put in my notes. I was like, it's drama. It's great. And then we have our scene. I don't know if y'all want to talk about it a little bit, but the girls and the boyfriends reunite. Again, this is the point where I'm just like, oh yeah, they have boyfriends, don't they? Oh yeah. I guess.
Yeah, they had to get a job because they flew out there. I'm like, oh, they done popped up. They done got a haircut. They got a suit on. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to get together.
Yeah, you got a driver's license and everything.
Thank
because
goodness.
Niecy, I know, right? Good for him. Niecy and her boyfriend Ali, like they are dancing. Do you know what? Do you remember what music they were dancing to? I think it's a really fucking iconic
it's
song.
a song you hear at the beginning when they at the club. She was like, "This is our song. It used to be our song.
Used to be
loving you."
Yes, that one. You better sing it, girl. Yes.
I don't know who sing the song, but I know the song when I hear it. I only know the song because of that. So there's that.
That's fair. That's totally fine. I love that for you. But anyway, so yeah, this is like, so they get to like dance and it's all nice. And she's like in her beautiful, like little yellow nightgown thing. It was very cute. And then Mickey and James, they reunite. And this is where he's like crying like a little boy. He's just like, and I want to take you out to eat. And maybe I want to eat sometimes. Hell, I want to eat. And I'm like, okay, like what are you talking about again? But all right, I get it. Like it's just to show that like they're in love with her, they're in love with each other, kind of a thing, and they're trying to be better guys, I guess. I was like, cool, I guess. Like I totally forgot you guys existed for a little bit, but okay, you're back in the story now. That's fine, I guess. Cool. But then in the meantime, ambulance comes because God damn it, like Mr. Blakemore, he is now like has to go to the hospital because apparently he's gonna, he's on good straits, I guess. And the gang, as I said, the girls and the guys, they go to visit him. The lawyer is there for some reason. Okay, I'll go with it. I'll buy it. Would a lawyer normally be there? Maybe. I don't know, but it's the story.
Depends. It could be if they have them set as like their power of attorney or something.
Oh, that's
like
true.
that.
You're right.
So
Oh,
if
yeah,
he
you're
already
right.
dying, he'd have probably already talked to her like, listen,
Mhm.
I'm already a little winded. Let's talk about this
Right.
will. And if this happened, pull up so they can't take
Uh-huh.
advantage of me. She
Yeah,
probably
it's
did a
true.
defense.
That's true. You're right. I forgot that you have mentioned that you've done social work like a little bit before. So I was like, oh, yeah, I guess you have to know some of this stuff then. I also used to work at a hospital and I was just like, I remember some of this shit and some of it I don't remember. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so needless to say, Mr. Blakemore does die. But like, this is also another drama moment where like you have to have Halle Berry there. And, she has to like, she wants to tell him what is actually been up. But like, obviously, he's not really in the mindset to really hear all of that, but he like very much like understands like, hey, I'm glad you're here, like, it's nice to have you here. This is also where you find out, okay, he's dying and all of that, but then this is where you actually get the kind of twist of it a little bit, that like pretty much this whole movie, Mr. Blakemore really knew that this whole thing was kind of a setup, because he even realized that Lily never had children actually, so there'd be no way she have a granddaughter at all, because Troy Byer, Tracy Shaw, says to them about this and all that. So, but yeah, I mean they're talking to them about that, and so I guess it's not debated, I guess, but like, oh, like, did he know? And I'm like, I think he knew that like this was kind of a bunch of bullshit, but like he just liked these girls. Like, I think he realized that. So I don't think it's like he died not realizing it. I'm like, no, he did. Like, I think he did. It's pretty clear.
Yeah. And probably the lawyer already knew what was up, because he probably pulled up on a lawyer early in a cut scene that we didn't see.
Right.
Lily ain't got no daughter. I don't know who invited her, but I feel like my dastardly nephew had something to do with this.
Exactly. Which is why when we're getting to this scene, so the girls are leaving LA. They showed up in these like ridiculous, iconic, needless to say, outfits, but they are a lot more subdued when they are leaving, which is really fun and cool. And they're saying goodbye to Manley, who I forgot to mention throughout this whole thing. Mickey has been calling him this whole time Alfred, which I'm just like, okay, Batman's homeboy, take us to the Batcave and all that stuff. Very fun.
He looks like Alfred.
He does look like an Alfred. I'm not even going to lie. He very well could have done the Alfred role in those not horrid. Batman and Robin was horrid, but he could have played that. Listen, I don't know. Like, Batman and Robin is camp fun, but it's not a good Batman movie, though.
Nope. Gonna stand on that. I'm just here, but I'm just like, whatever.
I also love, we're getting to the end of this movie, but I also love, I'm just like, on your show, you mostly cover horror, right? But I'm just like, no, cover this thing. Damn it, do it. Have a whole Hairspray episode. Just do it. Just release it.
Cat is ready. Cat eyes got big.
I'll be right there with you. Talk about that 88 version. Be like, bitch, I'll be right there with you.
It's all right. It's en route. We are almost there.
Almost there. And I'm just like, just do it. Release this weird ass like thing that has nothing to do with horror. The Bring It On episode, I'm waiting for that, because I'm just like, I need you to do that. I don't care. You can talk about the horror one that's probably really horrible. Whatever, it's fine. It's perfectly okay. Anyway, so they say goodbye to Manley though, and then Mickey actually calls him Manley for the first time. So I was like, that's nice. We got the reading of the will though, and so the reading of the will is that I think this reading is fine, but like what I think is really weird, they read the will, but then you don't hear the actual reading of it. They just have this music playing over Tracy Shaw talking. But because of the nonverbal communication that we see going on here and the looks of everything, pretty much what we find out is that Niecy and Mickey get, I don't know exactly how much money, but hundreds of millions of dollars, I believe. They get that. Manley gets a lot of the other assets as well. So he gets like everything else. And then Isaac, he's also there. Why was he there? Because I guess he's a family member, but like you already were like trifling. So like, what are you doing here? But okay. But I do like how I think if you read her lips, she pretty much says that he gets shit, which is just very funny. And I'm just like, yeah, I think so. Because he shouldn't get anything. Anyway, Alfred gets a bunch, Isaac gets shit. And then as part of this, so the end of this movie, the girls are now, because it ends as the end, and beginning, which is fun. So we find out that the girls actually open a hair salon slash restaurant called Lily's, which they named after Lily, of course. They have their hairstyles. Also, Tracy looking good too with her little updo. It looks really nice. The guys who talked about earlier, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do this like page a cab business, because kids, for those who don't are in the know, pagers are kind of what cell phones were. And you'd have to page somebody to get in contact with them. So you could page a cab maybe a little bit, but that's what their whole thing was. And so they give them money to like page a cab, like do their little business, you know, all of that. And yeah, pretty much the girls end the movie being bad bitches, I guess is the best way to put it. We see Dennis Rodman there. He's at Lily's just getting his hair done, I guess, because this is a time where Dennis Rodman was more relevant, I guess. And yeah, they just like end it being bad bitches. Alfred may or may not have a boyfriend, maybe, perhaps. I don't know. I think so. But yeah, they just end it being iconic and lovely. And that is the end of BAPS. I will say this film to me, I think one of the achievements it gives, or the achievements it has, is that it is a movie where this is very much a cult classic within the Black community, especially. People have really loved this movie a lot and they've enjoyed it. And I think there's different reasons for that. But one of the things, even at the end of the movie, that I really like is that you see these women winning. This is not a tragedy. This is not a, you know, whatever the fuck story. It's a fairy tale, kind of, really. But like, these women win in the end. They also help their men win in the end too, by giving them the money to start their business. And I think that's also a big reason why people love this, because they're just like, yo, this is not about tragedy. Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, you know, for myself as a gay person, it's hard to find a gay movie that I want to watch that's not just about like, this person has AIDS and died. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to fucking watch that shit sometimes. Okay. I can only take Brokeback Mountain so often. Okay. I'm just saying. And I would assume that some of the movies where it talks about the Black community and it focuses on them, sometimes it's about fucking tragedy. And you're like, dude, I don't want that every day of my movies, honestly. And this movie is a departure from that, which I think is really cool. Do you guys have any thoughts about that? And
I mean, I'm walking with you. I definitely totally understand. I did mention earlier, it kind of does align with a lot of what's going on. I can't say it does or does not depict like people's lives. It aligns with people. Like, for my own personal experience, I see people who look like these characters, who may act like these characters, not exactly to the farthest extent. But like, in terms of outfits, in terms of style and sort of culture, like it's very aligned. I do walk with you though, in terms of like it being hard to find certain films where people are depicted a certain way, or it's telling a certain story that doesn't always fit into a certain box, or go with the same narrative. So that was pretty much my thoughts.
that's fair. No, totally. And again, I think it's what's interesting about cult classic cinema that I talk about. You know, it can be something like Rocky Horror. You know, now you love some Rocky Horror too, girl. I do too. And so, but that's a movie that's very much for the freaks. It was queer when queer wasn't really doing a whole lot. And that's why it's a cult classic,
Exactly.
you know, right. You know, and so these movies have a certain way, but I always think of it as like, especially since this is a movie where it very much is firmly in the Black community for sure. And one of the ones I've covered, but like, you know, yeah, but there's different like cult classic movies for Black folks, for queer folks, for Latinx folks, you know, and all that. And that's why, of course, I'd want to cover other ones that aren't of my experience either, to get that kind of experience. I feel like I've been talking way too much, and, you know, you guys have just been here to listen though. And like, if anything, provide your own experience and your own thoughts, because again, but the basic idea of this goddamn movie, it's great. Okay. Like, it completely deserves, I think, a reevaluation of it, you know, for its problems that it has and some of the issues in it. I do think it is a movie that I fit squarely in with Clueless, Romy Michelle, these late 90s movies that are like, you know, kind of campy, kind of silly, you know, maybe have something, again, not all of it works all the time, but I think it's a feel-good movie. And I like that it does need to be more in there, which is why I wanted to cover it. I was like, oh no, this movie's fucking great. And people need to know about it and people need to watch it. And, you know, and if anything, like I wanted to be in that same, you know, group of those other kinds of movies like it. And again, I think because of the reception it got, because the fact that a lot of these reviewers were white and they didn't fucking understand it, you know, it's just like I wanted to get that reappraisal and that reevaluation of it that I think other movies have also gotten now too. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely that.
Agreed.
I also like to say that this movie is better than Jungle to Jungle because I rewatched that recently. That movie is bullshit. And it has like a 19%. And I'm like, you still have a better score than Baps, and I'm not.
I'm not happy about it.
No, it's definitely a feel-good movie. It's not like Rosewood, or even I love Tales from the Hood, but Tales from the Hood goes to very dark places and it does explore a lot of trauma. And this one, I mean, they pour. That is the only real, like, you know, pour this.
That's the horror. Okay, listen.
But outside of that, they're just having hijinks, JKs. No one's like beating them up. Like they don't end up going to jail. Nobody assaults them. Nothing like that happens. And they end up with the bread. I'm like, you know what? And they did not have to fuck anyone. That is also
That's true. That's wonderful. I love that. Not to you know, sex work is work, but you know, fucking they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to do anything they didn't want to do, which is really nice. And yeah, I just love that. But you can currently find this on Apple TV or wherever you get your streaming stuff. It's like $3. Go pull up and rent it. Okay. Give it some money. It does make the rounds on Tubi here and there. So I did watch it on Tubi. So y'all can probably watch it if it's ever on there. It was on Netflix for a minute too. So who knows? It might come back. We'll have to see. But anyway. But I think that's everything I can think right now. But Jazz and Kat, I'm so happy that you guys came on this show today. It's still like a dream of mine, like, because I'm just like, I love your fucking podcast a lot. And the fact that you even like said yes to my request of coming on is wonderful. But why don't you talk a little bit about your show for those who don't already know about it? Tell people where they can find you and find your show and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so we are Girl That's Scary podcast. We are a horror and sci-fi and everything that falls in between type of podcast. We come out every Thursday on wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you could think of a platform, we're 9 times out of 10 we're going to be there. And we cover everything. Like we cover some genre-based things, like kind of hone in on those. We might just go, fuck it, like let's talk about, or sub-genre, or let's just talk about, I don't know, some random horror books that we just read recently, and talk about that. And things we don't cover on our main feed, we cover all of the in-betweens, more obscure stuff on our Patreon. If you want to just pull up, we have free stuff because we love the free. And that's at patreon.com/Girl That's Scary. And really, if you just put in Girl That's Scary in the Google machine and a website pops up, and that has the links to all our things. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter for as long as Twitter is around or as long as we're around. But yeah, we're here. We're talking about all the things and we're just happy to be here. But thank you so much for having us.
Of course. And I would, of course, love to come on your show if you're ever wanting, of course, because why not? But yeah. And yeah, I love some of your episodes. What I like about them, for anybody who hasn't already listened, is that we especially cover genres or like a series of movies. You guys don't go too in depth with like the plot of each one, but you talk about each like movie in the series, or you talk about different of the genres that you talk about, but you'll cover different movies, so it gives a nice recommendation of like, hey, you like body horror, like go watch these fucking movies. Oh, hey, you like slashers, go watch these movies. So you know what I mean? I definitely have fallen asleep to you guys, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, I know that's right, like, you know, and you get all of them in your head and you're like, oh, I gotta find this, oh yeah, I gotta find this. So definitely pull up for sure. But thank you all so much for coming on the show, and yeah, I really loved it, so thanks y'all so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
As always, if you'd like to get in touch with me, you can do so at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com. If you'd like to give any movie recommendations, give feedback on the show, or if you'd just like to say hey, I'm open to all of it. You can also follow the show on Instagram at Cult Cinema Circle and on Twitter at Cult Cinecircle. I tend to announce the movies that I'm going to be covering and just interact with people on there if they want. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at Jesse, Jesse, Kremp, Kremp, all one word. On that platform, I tend to log the movies that I watch. I write little stupid reviews about them and just general foolishness over there. Be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast on your podcatcher of choice, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm pretty much on all of them. Be sure to leave 5 stars and a 1 to 2 sentence review about the show so we can grow the audience and then just spread the love all around. Be sure to tune in next week to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast, where I'll be covering 1982's Blade Runner. In the smog-choked dystopian Los Angeles of 2019, Blade Runner Rick Deckard is called out of retirement to terminate a quartet of replicants who have escaped to Earth seeking their creator for a way to extend their short lifespans. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. And remember, I ain't got no problem sleeping on this expensive white carpet because I know it's poodle hair. Take care. Bye.